Welcome to Learn with Hack the Box, a unique YouTube series focused on fast-tracking your career in either offensive or defensive cybersecurity. Whether you're an aspiring SOC analyst or pen tester, stay tuned for exclusive tutorial-style content from experienced security professionals who will guide you on your journey from cutting-edge tips and resources. So by the end of this episode, we're going to discuss the importance of what logs you're collecting, who has access to your SIEM, and why understanding your environment is pivotal over tools. Today's episode is all about those SIEMs, or the Security Information Event Management Platforms, the backbone of any sort of SOC. This is going to be an environment checklist that's going to get you hitting the ground so you kind of set up your environment in the most efficient way possible. So whether you're a security analyst or detection engineer, this is going to allow you to master the basics, avoid those common pitfalls, and just kind of get you going in any environment. First up, let's talk about the most common issue that SOC analysts are facing these days, and it's this tool obsession. You're basically using something without knowing the environment, and it causes a lot of issue, and here's why. When you jump straight into tools, you're working blind. Your environment is the foundation of every decision you're going to be making about logging, architecture, even response workflows. I mean, think about it. You're looking at your scope of responsibility in your environment. Is this going to be cloud-based? Is this going to be on-prem? Is it a little bit of both, where it's like a hybrid environment? Is this going to be like your IoT stuff, your operational tech? Is this more traditional, like your endpoints or your servers, like in a traditional way? These things are really important to know when it comes to your logging and your architecture of your environment. To truly grasp your environment, you're going to want to ask yourself what log sources are available and what you need to collect. What is the scale and how many devices are in your environment? Are there compliance requirements like retention periods? Will you need to automate responses? And of course, things like budget and pricing models are extremely important for the tools that you're going to be considering. The better you understand these factors, the better off you're going to be. You're going to set yourself way ahead of the game. It's more of, hey, we're buying the tools for the things we need, and not how can we get the things out of the tools that we've bought. You know, it's like putting the cart before the horse. Just a little bit of forethought and design goes a long way here, and you're going to be saving a lot of headache. Now that we've mapped out our environment, let's talk about the human side of the equation. Just as important as the location of deployment are the individuals using the SIEM and how that information is going to be leveraged. Your SIEM isn't a one-size-fits-all tool. Different teams are going to have different needs. SOC analysts are the ones that are on the front lines, responding to alerts and investigating threats. They need clear, actionable data at their fingertips. Compliance teams are focused on audit logs and regulatory reporting, so they're going to need well-organized, long-term log retention. Threat intel teams are the folks that are hunting for patterns and anomalies, often across multiple data sources. Tailoring your SIEM to the users is often the most efficient way to do this. Whether you have things like threat hunters, incident response, or even compliance, you're going to have certain dashboards, filters, workflows. That's very intentional. It prevents folks from stepping on each other's toes. So it really is almost like a design where if you don't do it on the front end, you're going to be Frankensteining things on the back end. I've even seen where leadership has dashboards that are allowing them to, as a utility, to quick reference, check things, and see how their environment is being ran. It really does take a try, but it's just a matter of being very intentional with your design. The more you align your SIEM with user roles, the better you're going to be. It's just as simple as that. So let's move on to the most critical part of any SIEM setup, and that is just log sources, making sure we have the right data being ingested into our environment, because logs are king. However, if they're not actionable, relevant, and just dependable, then it doesn't really do us any good in our environment. Let's break this down, because while every environment's a little bit different, these log sources you just cannot ignore. Firewall logs often show you traffic patterns, blocked attempts, and potential intrusions. Endpoint logs are going to show us where attackers are striking first. This is going to show us things like the suspicious processes, file changes, any sort of presence of malware. Cloud services like AWS or Azure are going to have logs that are fed back to our SIEM that are going to show things like misuse of resources, unauthorized access, or just any sort of data exfil. These are the new treasure troves of 2025. They've been around for a minute, but this is the most targeted spot in your environment. Authentication systems that are like logs from Active Directory or any sort of single sign-on solution are going to show us that unauthorized access or any sort of login attempts. This is going going to be where you're going to detect your unusual behavior. Now that's all fine and dandy, but here are some pitfalls that you're going to want to avoid. Ignoring timestamps. So logins in different time zones or inaccurate timestamps will throw off your investigation. Normalize your timestamps in your SIEM. Collecting too much data. More isn't always better. Filtering out those irrelevant logs to reduce some noise. Forgetting context. So logs without metadata like source IP or user IDs are harder to analyze and act upon. Here's a quick pro tip. You're going to need to use filters in your environment to kind of clean up the noise. If you're looking for failed logins, you don't need every single successful login, right? Like maybe like enough failed logins to a successful one, or however you want to set up your detection. Your miles may vary. Just know that you can't observe everything in your environment, right? All the resource of intensive tasks that are going on, your SIEM will just explode. So whether you're setting up your first SIEM or you're going through and cleaning up an existing one, it really just takes some time to stop, think, and design what you're trying to do here. It takes a little bit of finesse, and you may have to work with adjacent teams to make sure you're ingesting the proper logs and making sure you're getting the things that you need to get. If we're having, things coming from endpoints or from network devices, just know where it's going, how it's going, and make sure it's being, done the correct way. It's honestly an art form. It does take a little finesse and a little bit of math, but it really makes all the difference. Now, if you're looking to start building your own SIEM, you're going to click this video right here where we show you how to set up Splunk on your home lab. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a good one.